Welcome to The Naked Truth. And now, your host, Bridget Barclay.
Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Annex Radio. Welcome to The Naked Truth. Tonight, my guest is Dolly Safran, and it is Preston Dennett. We will be talking about Preston and Dolly's book called Symmetry. And what I wanted to look into, really, and have a chat with them about is the diversity of all of us that are having encounters, from the one-off encounters to everyone's high strangeness, to continue on to like constant encounters, and also Dolly's encounters that have total recall with it. So thank you, everybody. Welcome back to The Naked Truth. It seems like ages that I have done this. So welcome, Dolly. Welcome, Preston. Hey! Hopefully I can't do that. My brother can do very well. He does that when he sees me each time. I said, don't do that, Paul. So, hi. Hopefully we won't have any technical issues. I know Dolly's been having any, so we're trying our best. And Dolly, great to see you. I'm hoping that you're feeling so much better from last week. And thank you. I'm loving your fabulous glasses, sweetie. Lovely. Hello. And Preston, lovely to see you yet again. So tonight is a sort of, I'd like to talk about with Preston and yourself about your story, your journey. And also today I thought to myself, you know what, why do people have some experiences have total recall? Why do some get totally blocked? Why do some have some recall and, and nothing else? Or why do they have to have hypnosis to have the total recall? Preston, you've done so much research, so that'd be really nice to have some insight to everyone's sort of like periodic table to their experiences. So let's start with, it's got to be Dolly. Because we know Preston. Everyone knows Preston, but Preston's going to talk much about his book. But Dolly, introduce yourself, please. Thank you.
I'm Dolly Safran. I am a lifetime contactee. I'm fully conscious. I'm also generational contactee, and I am also a pilot. And I'm here where I live, and I'm bringing ET's message forward and truth about what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think as a light worker, that's what I was thinking today. There are various different light workers. You've got the channelers, you've got the experiencers, you've got the people that are just simply light workers, crystal workers that work with all of the different interdimensional beings, all of the different races, but don't actually see them, but they just work with the energies. So he's doing his funny signals again. Right. It's absolutely fine. So right, so with Dolly, we've got some pictures that we're going to show as well later on. So with your book, with Symmetry, how did it start? How did you meet Preston to be able to go through that talk with him? Because obviously, I mean, I can imagine it would have taken an immense, probably a couple of years to go through it all with him, right?
A little bit more than that, yes. About 8 years ago, I decided that I was going to come out, and ET decided that I needed to be briefed. So they spent some time briefing me on what to expect, what I could look for, things like that. And I started looking on the internet for researchers. And first I did, system searches and things like that, and Google, and I started looking at YouTube researchers when I found them, and I was having a really tough time with it. Nobody was really meeting what I was looking for. Yeah. And I was a little bit frustrated about it. And my contacts said, well, we know somebody we want you to look at if you're willing, if you're game for that. And I said, sure. And they made me write his name down. Names are not my forte. And so I wrote down Preston Dennett. And I immediately, when I got back, I looked him up. I looked him up in Google first. I found his website, and then I found his YouTube channel.
Bloody good.
Yeah, I went to his playlist, and I found the oldest video I could find of him anywhere. it was a MUFON symposium, and it was a long time ago, and he was talking about healings. And I listened, and I was floored. I mean, the bottom fell out of me. I was like, "Whoop! There it is. This is what I'm looking for."
They were right.
Yes.
So
And,
that's UFO Healings, Preston's book, right?
yes. And so I contacted him by email, and he right away answered me back in like 24 hours. And thus began the journey. And we're talking 6 years of vetting me before he even wrote Symmetry.
Okay, so Preston, reading that first email then, how was that? Because obviously it's going to be a very different email from, let's say, the likes of me. I stole your poster into Panga Canyon. Oh, and so did Jimmy Church. So not Jimmy Church. Was it Nick? Oh no, Jimmy Church. Jimmy Church has them. Jimmy Church has a few. Yeah.
Yes, he admitted it.
Yeah, he did. He admitted it. He did. So that's so cool. Sorry, Preston. But so you opening that first email from Dolly, considering how many books had you written at that point? You must have written quite a few, right?
Oh, it was probably, 20 or 25 around there.
Because I always go back to the lady. I forget the lady's name. Remember the encounter with the lady in the car and the jewel? Do you remember that you spoke about? There was a lady that drove a car that she had a secret hiding place in her car.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
My goodness. Yeah, that was way back. Yeah.
That was great. She was a fully conscious experiencer from what I remember.
Well, I never really got to talk to her. I got to talk to James Santiago, who had the encounter with her. But I expect that she had a lot that she wasn't talking publicly about.
Yeah.
Like most contactees who are fully conscious, they learn not to talk about it.
The thing is, it's because the extreme of like, now you've got people that are openly talking about reptilians, Arturians, Syrian, all of the different races. Dolly, yourself, you talk about Momma. Momma is the energy from the craft. Is that correct?
No, Talada is.
Oh, Talada.
Momma is a tall gray. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, you're communicating with various forms of energy. So for Preston for you to read that first email and all of that information there, you must have, what do you think when you read that? Oh my God.
Oh, well, she didn't lay it all on me at once. And I'm so glad. Thank you, Dolly.
She has now.
It was a guarded email, which is not at all unusual. She just basically said, I've had some experiences. I'm looking for someone to talk to about it. And basically it kind of rolled out from there. And it took me a year or two before I realized I got a good one here. Maybe not quite that long. I knew from the get-go pretty much that this was a legit case. But I had no idea how extensive it was.
Yeah. And
really that took quite a bit more research and talking to her because contactees are very guarded. They protect themselves understandably from ridicule and disbelief and skeptics. And
still even now though, really. Still now, even though
she tells me everything.
Yeah, I know that Dolly does, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there. I know somebody that is famous, that has had a UFO experience, that I've been in communication with email, that deeply wants to talk, but won't talk still. And I'm saying, hang on a minute.
One of the things that I think opened his eyes wide open, made his eyes wide open, is I was letting him live life with me through video, phone calls, live video feeds, pictures, information, all the way through him vetting me. Because my life was very busy with them, and I was giving him blow by blow, minute to minute, live and in person over the videos, what was going on with me. He got to see all of it. He got to see who was following me. He got to see who was coming down. He got to see all of it. I kept a log for him of all the activity that was going on, and it got pretty intense for a while.
So it must be, it was obviously fantastic for you to be able to do that, because you wouldn't have had anyone to do that. I mean, I know that you were open with your family, but but so for you to be able to say this, and obviously Preston with the history background, working with so many witnesses and other researchers, you know, it was, you found a good one. I mean, there's quite a few good ones out there, but you know, you found a soft, good one that's actually, you know, wholeheartedly there to help. So, communication wise, that must have been fantastic for both of you, because you can offload to each other, and you've got proof there, Preston, of photographs, because we can actually, Race has got photographs that we can go through shortly. But you talked about being followed and stuff. Is that due to when you were like, because you grew up in the military side, didn't you?
Yeah, but I was followed from birth practically, especially after I was 5. Once the MK Ultra program, you know, MK5, tried to get a hold of me, and my dad pulled me out. I had agents on me from time to time, and then it was constant when I got older. They've actually tried to abduct me a couple of times. So yeah, I'm constantly followed. I'm constantly watched. They have ways of notifying me about things. Yeah.
Have you had that, Preston?
Me personally, very little. I have had some of it. I was just talking to, I think it was last night, with Dolly about a time I did get a call from some colonel guy who was basically threatening me. I mean, he did. Not basically, he did. He flat out said, you know, are you Preston Dennett, investigating UFOs? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, what you're doing is dangerous. You're barking up the wrong tree. You can get hurt. It's not what you think it is.
So how many years ago was that? Just out of reference, because that's quite interesting. Even
that was 1992. The Topanga.
Wow.
Came. Yeah.
Okay, so when it was all kicking off, when it was the UFO flap in Topanga, then.
Yeah, and that's when I dived deep into really becoming an investigator. I had joined MUFON, became a field investigator some years earlier, but with that incident, I had called the police, gave them my number. I was putting flyers up, and people were stealing them. I'm still not sure who.
I told you I was so honest, and so was Jimmy Church. How many more are going to put up our hands?
It was funny because I put them up, they come down. I put them up, they come down. I put them up, they come down.
Jimmy says that he still has the original one. He's got 2. So
I'm still looking.
I know it doesn't matter, because I can go back to Jimmy now and ask him, but that's fine. Right. So, okay. So where would you like to start, Dolly, with your earliest experiences?
My very first one was my first real memory is I'm 10 months old, and we lived on Bayfront Park in Miami. We had just gotten there, and we were living in a high-rise apartment. It was temporary, and I was in my crib, and I was supposed to be taking a nap, and I saw a big bright light through the levelers, you know, in the middle of the day, and I was fascinated by it, and I kept staring at it. And the next thing I know, I'm floating up in my crib, literally floating up. And when I got to the top of the rail, I knew that if I didn't grab something, I was going somewhere, and it unnerved me. And I flipped over. I literally flipped my body over and tried to grab the rails. And then my memory ends right there. It was very, 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 I wouldn't call it traumatic as much as it really stayed in my head, that whole incident, my entire life. Mm-hmm. When I was 2.5, you have to understand that I was born with abilities too. So things started amping on me the older I got. By the time I was 2.5, I was, 2 1/4. My mother was pregnant with my brother at the time, and I was supposed to be taking a nap. And she went to check on me, and I was gone. I mean, just gone out of the house. She couldn't find a way that I got out. Nothing. I was gone. They called the police. They called my dad home. They put her in a police car. They ran APBs out on me. And a couple hours later, they finally found me. I showed up at a Utotem store. It's like a little convenience store off of Miller Road in Southwest Miami. And I was in my underwear because that's what I was wearing to take a nap. And I had nothing else on, bare feet, everything. And I have a memory of being on board with Momma, and them telling me that I needed to go in this store. When they came down, they were going to let me out, and I was to go in the store, and they would give me a red balloon. Well, I was attached to red balloons at that age because I'd already had my tonsils out when I was 2, and like the 2 months before that. And I couldn't push the door open. When I walked around from the back to the front, the doors were too heavy for me, and I started banging on it, Yep. And the guy came and let me in, and he's like, "Where the hell's your mother?" And when he realized that I had no way of explaining this to him, he called the police, and that's when the APB hit, and they brought my mother to me in the store. I was crying. I was mad because I didn't get a balloon. I could not explain it to everybody. I was so upset because I didn't get the balloon that I couldn't just utter out what was going on. And I don't think anybody would have believed it anyway. Child Protective Services in those days was a strange entity. They held my mom and dad aside, and they had me with a police officer, a lady, and they grilled them for 2 hours because they were trying to figure out how I got out of the house and were they responsible for it. And when they became convinced that, no, they let me go with my parents. 3 things that happened was: 1, I was 6 miles from home. 2, I was barefooted and had no marks on my feet whatsoever. And the third one was that I did finally say to my mom, I went flying. That I did say to her. And my mother became hysterical. They changed all the locks. They put locks on the windows. They got a police dog, an ex-police dog, to take care of me. Her name was Heidi. And it went from there. My life was altered inexorably by that. So, yeah.
Didn't stop the experiences. Heidi the dog just went with her, and they would come through the windows or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, your doggy would go with you?
Yes. Yeah. They let me bring her. She'd come anyway. So, yeah.
Well,
I mean, can you imagine a German Shepherd going, "You ain't taking her"?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why they train them as police dogs, right? No, hey, stun them with the light.
Yeah, no, they didn't stun her. Heidi liked them better than she liked me at that point. I'm not kidding you. She loved them. She wanted to go. Yeah.
Interesting, because obviously, Preston, as we always hear, whether the dogs are out in the backyard, they're pining, low on the ground, hiding underneath everything, whining, wincing. That's what you generally hear, isn't it?
Yeah,
I find that interesting.
It does take place, but I will say my sister-in-law had a face-to-face encounter with Grays. Had her little dog Sarah.
Christine.
No, my other sister-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't want her name used.
Okay, that's fine. I know Christine.
Yeah, saw Grays in front of the Stagg Street Elementary School in around 1978 in Van Nuys, Southern California, walking on the sidewalk at night. Walked right up next to them, thought they were little kids. Of course, they weren't. They turned and looked at her, and they locked gazes. She's 10 feet away. But yeah, her little dog Sarah was walking along with her and just didn't do a thing. So that, definitely dogs sometimes will bark or even become frightened. I think more it's the humming noise from the UFO, which freaks them out.
Yeah, the vibration, the tone, I suppose. Right. Yeah, okay. So then if you talk about craft, what's your first age that you recollect a craft?
I was almost 6. I was a little after 5.5. Prior to the incident, I had gone to see Mary Poppins with my father and my brother. My brother was 2 when I was 5. And I was laying out in the front yard under a ficus tree in the glades. And I was looking up through to the clouds. It was a really pretty puffy cloud day, and I was imagining what the clouds look like. And I saw this huge umbrella coming down. It was slightly rotating. And it looked just like Mary Poppins' umbrella. And I'm thinking, where's the handle? Where's the long hooky thing and the parrot on the end of it? And just about that time, I was thinking that the music started. I heard music. And it was similar to what I heard from the movie, but not quite. And then I sort of blacked out for a second. And then I woke up sitting on the lap of Momma and looking at her. And my first impression of her was pretty much up close, that close, was, oh my, wow, because she was different. I knew she was different. And she was fascinating to me. Her eyes were incredible to me. And I was just staring at her and looking at her, and she was beautiful to me. And she pat my back and she said, "Now I want you to call me Momma. I am related to you. And when you're with me, I'm going to be your temporary mama when you're with me." And I said, "Okay." And she said, that's wonderful. And that was the first time she touched foreheads with me. And all I felt from her was, calm, mother love, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she was very gentle. And I was just oohing and ahhing all over her. And I wanted to pet her. She was wearing a gingham dress, and I was touching it because I was like,
yep.
yeah, it was like, wow. And poof, I blacked out again. And I woke up on the floor in the hall of our living room, going to the doors. And my mom's like, how did you get in here? And because she would have heard me come in. Those doors were huge. They're like barn doors, and they make a lot of noise when you touch them. And she would have been on me in seconds. And I said, I don't know, and I knew better at that moment to tell my mother anything, because anything paranormal happened to me and she'd freak out. Okay.
Yep.
And it taught me a lesson.
Well, yeah, because you keep going missing. She didn't want anything else to happen to you. Yeah.
I shut up, and I decided that I had to have hiding places around the living room, and I found a few, and that's where I would go when they brought me back. I would hide from her for a while, and then she would find me hiding and just think I was playing hide and seek, because that was my favorite game, strangely enough. And yeah, it was a big deal. I didn't hear Tolada until I was older. Well, I know I heard him when I was younger, but I don't have all the, I know that I was talking to him. I have memories of it, but they're not cohesive memories. It's like when you're growing up and you remember things. I was very, very, very young, and I wasn't tick-tocking off every moment then.
Yeah.
I didn't start doing that until I was about 10. And then I have one long continuous memory of Tolada after that. But yeah.
Well, Dana is asking, because there's
go for it.
question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in the answer.
Did
you have any fear at first when meeting her, Dolly?
No, I'm afraid of nothing. That was one of the things that drove my mother crazy. I'm totally 100% fearless. But you have to understand why. Okay, I knew I was going to bring this up one day. I'm wide open psychic. I have always been wide open psychic. I can hear danger. I can hear lies. I know when things are going to happen to me. I'm forewarned because I already am assimilating it, because it's that type of psychic. And I feared nothing, because I wouldn't walk into anything that would harm me. I knew better. And so I became I love to challenge life. And so Momma was cool from the beginning, I'm not afraid.
It's true for a lot of kids who have contact at that age, because they're not trained at that point to, like, this person is a little different looking. No, they're just another person. So often kids at that age, when they have contact, are totally okay with it.
Not always, but my Chinese girl that I saw, that wasn't a Chinese girl, she was a being, that's how she presented herself. I wasn't afraid. I was the same as you, Dolly. I was captivated by her eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
So, energy-wise, though, do you find that different beings, different energy? Because I've pretty much met the same sort of beings all my life. Well, I can't say all my life, on various occasions. And they still, and it's a bit like, like we know our dad, we know our mum, we know the energy of that. It was always boom, back to that same energy. So even though if you weren't consciously aware when you, let's say, were abducted, and then you're then in the craft, or they've entered into the house with you, did you pick up on their energy first of all then? Because being psychic,
I literally picked up on their minds. I didn't need to feel their energy. I was already hearing them. And that started really quickly after I met, solidly knew who Momma was. Momma would contact me mentally and say, we're coming. So I always knew when they were coming. Tolada would start telling me, I'm on my way, be ready. He would give me 24 hours sometimes too, and specific things that they expected of me when I got picked up. It's like a telephone call, there's no static. I have pure confirmation communication with them. That kind of thing.
Back to when you said documenting it with Preston, because you've got some remarkable pictures. So, and I think one of them was when you went to a conference, wasn't it, as well?
Yep. It was the UFO MechaCon in Los
Angeles. Yeah, right. Yeah, of course they're going to turn up there. Everybody out of the building. but so Preston, did you witness as well?
I did. Unfortunately, I didn't witness the really close-up good sighting that she filmed with her friend Yvonne, and I had to come a day later, But
Okay.
I did, yeah. We went outside and there was this big purple kind of thing in the sky. And me being, you know, I had just met Dolly.
A non-believer.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it. Dolly's like, it's right there. Yeah, I saw it. I would later have more encounters, but that was the first. And,
Okay, so I wonder if Race has...
Absolutely.
Yeah, Talata didn't come the second day that close because the military already knew he was up there. He followed me from Florida. He flew next to us all the way to Las Vegas, where I landed, and Yvonne picked me up in a car, and then we drove through the Mojave to get to Laughlin. And I stayed in a Airbnb in Bull's Head City, which is like right over the border. And so he was already sighted. It was on the news. I mean, they reported him. He was there. Okay.
The news report. It was amazing. Yeah. We looked at it and like, oh my gosh, it's on the news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he came down within 3,000 feet of me. That was a very close sighting, and it was so that I could get him on film. And then after that, it was, nope, can't come that close. They're all up there waiting for me now. So, you know.
Okay. So if Preston, Preston, if Race can show us some pictures, then you can talk us through some pictures, and then you can see the time. Oh, that's mine. That was the end one. That was the one that I took.
I like that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. This is Talata. He's at 3,000 feet, and he's arraying. In other words, you see the upward top half of him and his two front lights. Okay. The dark spot under him is his whole shell of him. Okay.
Yeah, you can kind of make that out, actually. Yeah. Yeah, because it looks slightly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and now he blew the light. He put the light on, the big light, to show me, because that's when you see most craft. That's all you see. That light is not a craft. That is the light of the craft. The rest of the craft is hid from you and away from you because they turn their arrays off. So it's so dark you can't see them. But all you see, your eyes are drawn to the light, and that's to show everybody that when you see lights, there's a great big ship behind that light. And you need to understand that. Okay.
Well, that color was underneath my cross. There you go. That's a beauty.
And this is a clear view of him. Just now, this, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the turkey footage. Okay. And I'm using it because I am flying in that. And this guy with a VHS camcorder got a really good close up of him. And you can see him in moonlight, which is great. So you can see the actual hull of him only arraying on top. But you see that dark smudge under him. That's the rest of him under there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, now, I want to make a point. His emitters are away from the camera. The two lights in the front and the other one, that's the front of the craft. You're looking at the side of the craft here, and his emitters are away from what that person was filming, so the camera wouldn't go dead. Okay. That's the only way you can get a film of them, is if they move their emitters away from you and they don't EMP you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Here's another close-up of it on that night. Yeah. And you can see the windows on the right-hand side. That's where we sit in there. I'm in there. And the rest of the ship. And you can look on the left-hand side of the ship. You see it looks like a grappling hook. All craft have grappling hooks on them, this size, this class of craft. And when you think you see a craft that's 4 or 5 football fields long, it's not. It's hundreds of craft that are hooked together, and you're seeing one giant mass of them.
Whoa. So what, like they, okay. Wow. Okay. Never heard that.
They also eject drones from that area as well. There's a like a storage bin in there, and they bring in drones, and they drop drones from there. They can drop 4 at a time.
Okay.
And this one is, you can actually see drones dropping. See that white streak? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 drones in that drop. And they're coming
Where was
down.
Where was that? Was that turkey footage as well?
No, that's Laughlin. He was dropping drones to protect me. They were going to stay with me. He had to fly away, and the drones can go undetected. So I was being watched.
So hang on. So what's the light? The red.
That's his front light. That's his front light. Okay. And then there's the back of him there. He's turned on like a 11 o'clock, 4 o'clock angle, so that you can see the hook where they're coming down. Okay.
Okay, because mine, I didn't recall seeing a light except for the red orange, like that power source underneath it. But it was more like you've got that orange on the outside. It was like that, like the embers of the fire underneath it.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any lights from it.
Okay. Now this is see the light on the right side? That's his front light. Okay. There's the body of him there, only you see a part of it. And that's the first 2 drones ejecting right there. Caught it.
So
and you notice they look like little teeny Tic Tacs. See them? Each one of them, they're Tic Tacs.
So Preston, that was Laughlin, was it?
Yes, and what's important to note is that she wasn't alone when this was being taken. She did have another witness with her.
Watching the whole time, yeah.
Which is further confirmation.
So, and was the other witness an experiencer as well? Or was
Yes, and a researcher, a paranormal researcher, yes.
Yes, I talked to her at length. She's very credible, a very kind, sincere person.
And that was on the news, right? This one was on the news, the Laughlin one.
Yes.
Yep. On the news the next day. We watched it. We were like, oh my gosh.
So was it like the Phoenix Lights? Lots of people witnessed it?
Everybody that was near the airport or around Las Vegas saw it. Yep.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, baby. It's not going out. Oh, right. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
There's another side view of him.
Yeah. It's actually nice that you've got different angles of them.
Yep.
Yeah. And I will say it's pretty rare for a contactee to get photographic evidence.
Yeah.
So really
you've got the guys, the couple in Italy, haven't you? Gosh, what's his name? The designer, the clothes designer. He takes remarkable footage.
That's interesting to me. Okay.
Oh, you didn't know?
Uzzi.
Yeah. Who was it? Brace, say again?
Antonio Uzzi.
Yeah, he's been doing it for about 20 years. Okay. 20 years. Oh, yeah. Wow. 20 years, maybe even longer than that. Footage is unbelievable.
Okay.
Him and his wife. They've not had any land. They've not had any abductions. They just film it.
Yeah.
Simone Sibilia. She was a beautiful model in Italy for a long time. But yeah,
biggest eyes, biggest blue eyes, right?
Oh yeah. They've got some of the clearest video.
Yeah, they really have.
You'll ever see.
Preston, you must remember them.
Pictures, didn't I?
Hey,
keep going. I want to get to the one that's important. There you go. Now you can see the whole craft. See the 2 lights on the right, the array on the side, and the hook at the end. And then on the bottom, you see a round disc.
Yeah.
That's where their battery packs are. And they drop down because they're on battery power when they're in the atmosphere. They can't use nuclear in here at all. And so they're on batteries. When you want to know why they go to phone lines and they find places where they can gather energy, that's why they recharge.
It's funny because I was speaking to this guy the other day locally, and him and his family were watching out of the window above the trees a craft, and this was many years ago, and it was emitting like sparks coming out of it, coming down. Actually, Preston, I want to put you in contact with him actually, but he was emitting red fiery sparks coming from it, and he was watching it with his sister. So then he got on the phone to his other sister that lived down the road that would be able to witness what he was seeing from a different angle. He phoned her, she went to the window and she watched it from another angle. That was remarkable. Yeah, so and actually he's in all of the eco saving, energy saving stuff. And I said, isn't it funny that that's what you witnessed a craft doing energy, and look, 20, 30 years from now, what you're doing for a living. It's a bit like they kind of talked to you and programmed you in a certain way for him to witness that, right? Because it was remarkable. That one's a good one.
This one's at 5,000 feet. He was incoming at that point, and it's one of the first pictures I took of him. He's way up there.
And that is on a good old Samsung. Thank you very much. No apples. I know we're Samsung girls. I know that. You don't need a bloody apple. No. Go out and buy a Samsung and you can take these pictures too.
Yep.
But you can see it's a solid object, metallic surface. Very cool.
Yeah. So, I think that's one of the
same. This one you can see in the array where the windows on the left are, and then some equipment. And he blacks out. When I'm flying, I black out the area that's dark right there so that I can see better on the ground. when the array is up around the windows where we observe, it screws with our vision. So I don't array then, and whoever's piloting that night did that.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask some questions really, because I just find this fascinating.
Okay.
Because you don't hear this very often, okay? And you don't hear this very often. You don't even read about it very often. So consciously, so hang on a minute. People don't generally remember what happens in the craft. They have this daydream when they come back, or that they're unsure, or very, very glimpses of something. So your recall, you're driving, you're communicating, no fear. You know, you're up at a height, going at enormous speeds. You know, but we've all done it. We've all been abducted and taken through windows, through doors, and various things, through all of the experiences that people have. What makes us able to do that time and time again? It doesn't take its toll on us.
It all goes back to your abilities. I'm telling you, the more wide open psychic you help yourself become, the better you are at that. And when I'm flying, I'm not flying on my own. I'm in a matrix of electromagnetic energy. It's like a ball, and my consciousness goes, I remote into that ball, and Talada's already in there waiting for me, and he becomes my eyes, he becomes my hearing. I can see outside the ship and feel inertia and drive and all of that, because inside I can't feel anything or hear, you know, and I can see, but not as well as I see with Talada's eyes. And we psychically fly this craft together, and I am not afraid. I had 4 years to train to do this. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours under my belt doing this. It's as easy as driving a car to me. That's no small feat, and all pilots for ET are trained in this way. It's not like you can get up in a Cessna and somebody hand you the stick and say, okay, hold it steady, keep it going, press the rudders. This is nothing compared to what we're doing on board craft. And it takes years to learn how to do this, years. So
it sounds quite meditative state then, right? So to place that whole thing in the energy.
No, I'm not meditative at all. I'm 100% wide open, adrenaline pumping, working. And,
no, as in a focus. Like when you meditate, you have that focus, don't you? That energy focus.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I'm 100% focused. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know everything that could happen. I've been trained. It's like a real pilot, a jet pilot for the Air Force, the Navy, or the Army. These guys have thousands of hours of training as well. They understand the mechanics of the craft. They know what it's doing, why. They understand the physics of it. They have to become one with that machine and then it's a physical thing for them. They're taking G-forces and all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is an adrenaline kicking, your brain's active, operating at high, and that's what it feels like.
Yeah, Grant Cameron just put out a book called Sky Pilots, which outlines a bunch of cases of people who are piloting UFOs. And he said something really interesting in that book. I'm so glad he put it out, because it gives confirmation. But he said every single one of these people who pilot these crafts do it psychically. Every single one.
Yeah.
So. It should give everybody hope. I want y'all to get this, okay? You all, every single human being on this earth is born with the same equipment that I have. You have the same breeding that I have. We're all related to one another. We're related to ET as well. We are one and the same. They are us, we are them, and we are all one. And you have it. You can do it. You've got centuries of somebody telling you no and using you like a slave for it, and making you believe negativity and fear and all that kind of stuff. And what you have to learn how to do is you drop all of it, let it go. Buddha tried to get everybody to do that. He'd just say, let it go. Don't focus on this stuff. Focus on what you are doing, and use your abilities. And now it's so polluted around here, and you're eating so many weird things that you have to unpollute yourself too as well. It's a whole thing. But you're capable of it. Everybody is capable of it. And I want to make a point. ET cannot change you. You are responsible for you. You are an autonomous being, and anything you learn how to do or any wisdom you gained is coming from your knowledge base, you learning to understand. ET cannot give you any of this. You have to reach for yourselves. And a lot of people here have been taught to be, help me, do it for me, da-da-da-da-da. Everything is handed to you on silver platters. That is not how you learn. Not. Okay? And people need to wake up to that. Okay.
Yeah, and this is
True.
the problem, because when people have an onboard experience and they experience tremendous fear, it blocks their ability to psychically perceive the ETs, and they're trying to say, listen, I'm here to help, stop screaming,
Yeah.
you don't want to be harmed. And people who are like in a panic are not getting that message.
Right.
No, it kind of feels like, I once said this to Nick Pope, it feels like I always called it like the alien within. It's you feel that's what I wanted to name the book, because you feel that you've taken on that form, but you're living a human experience. So
well,
to
you
speak.
are that. Well, think of it this way. You are that form. Your consciousness is that form. That's who you are. The body that you're indwelling is just your little vehicle, and your physical mind is your little computer that your consciousness speaks through, your pineal gland to you. And we're so busy listening to our physical mind, we're overriding everything.
Yeah.
You got to shut up and listen to your psychic abilities. Then you hook up with your true self, because right now it's like being split personality, or you know what I'm saying? And you always feel like you're out of it, or something is coming at you. That's you. You. And you
need to stop that.
That's right.
Some people feel like they have an ET identity, and I think what's actually going on is they're hooking up so thoroughly. So communion, it was a good word that Whitley used. Because that's what's going on here. But you are still yourself.
Right.
You are. Yes, you are. But there's a battle of wills, sort of, so to speak. Because
I wouldn't look at it that way. That's a negative idea. It's not the battle. You just have to be quiet and listen to your consciousness talk to you. It is not another person. It's you. And you will learn to hear that voice. And you will learn to become that voice. You know how people talk about being indwelled? I want to tell you something. Channeling is just your consciousness talking to you. Okay? That's all it is. Your consciousness can hear the entire universe. It can hear the all mind. It hears everything and everyone. That's right. We're in communion with one another all the way straight through the entire universe. And when people think they're channeling, all they're doing is listening, because it's your consciousness that's listening and hearing everything. That's how I hear Talata. It's with my consciousness. I'm completely hooked up to him 24/7. I'm used to it. That's all we have to learn how to do. It's like the best phone call you ever got in your entire life, ever. And you can single anybody out anywhere throughout the entire universe. That's what's so bloody cool about it. Even the all mind.
When I said sort of like a battle of wills, I know at that time I was suffering from really bad headaches, and I was struggling when you have 3 beings next to your bed. Oh, look at us, we come in 3. We got 3 of us now. But when you had we had the 3 beings, when I had beings next to me. So I was going through a very actually negative time, but through learning and more experiences, then I dropped the fear. And you're right, Dolly, you're the same as me, and many experiences. I don't fucking fear nothing. I don't, because look what I've seen, look what I've felt, look what I've touched.
But what's cool is when other people, like, we get along really well because we have common ground here. And when we start talking, we understand what each other's saying. It would be great if everybody had that. We all shared it all at one time.
We had a fantastic call the other week, didn't we? Cool, we nailed it.
But there would be no more lying. People would tell the truth about everything. There would be no hiding anymore. No fear anymore. No confusion anymore. And people would act differently because it opens you up to what reality really is, and you stop playing and you actually learn, and you become wise.
So Preston, now, do you feel that things are changing for us experience? I'm not talking because of Congress and stuff like that. Let's forget all of that right at the minute. As in people's personal sort of basis. Like for me, or for Dolly, there's an empathy, there's a communication, there's a constant. There's lots more people that are being honest, are trying to sort out all of their stuff, are trying to clear all of the clutter, the unimportant things, to make headways, because they know and they feel, and whether they're meditating or communicating with beings or light workers, there's more and more stuff happening. I mean, I can feel the build up. I mean, I'm going through that build up myself. You are, Dolly, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's shows like yours, Bridget, that are actually waking people up. Because people resonate with truth. They know what's true. And people are beginning to leave fear behind. It's a process everyone goes through. But with now UFOs going into the mainstream a little bit, it brings this subject to the forefront of people's minds, and they feel a little bit more comfortable. The ridicule factor is getting less and less.
Okay, so that's why we need people like Dolly to be open, because, you know, I and other people don't recall absolutely everything. And like I say, you know, hypnosis can help, you know, if you're not a fan of hypnosis or anything, but Dolly totally recalls. So with this book, what's the book called that you talked about, Preston? The one, the about the pilots?
Oh, Sky Pilots, yeah.
Sky Pilot, okay. Have you got
but
it?
I want to interject here, Brigitte. You do recall.
Yeah,
I do. Oh, absolutely.
No, I mean, it's all there.
Yeah.
Your consciousness knows that it's your physical mind that's not listening. See what I'm saying?
Everybody does recall. We're all awake on the other side every night doing out-of-body experiences, and people are like, well, I don't remember that. But you're fully conscious, and it is there. It's a matter of, you know, stop resisting, accepting it. Yeah. I had missing time myself, because you know, you wanted to talk about this. Why do some people remember and some don't?
Yeah, go on.
I don't remember. I had missing time. But I've started to remember a lot of this through the dream state, through just spontaneous recall. And I think all of us have that ability to do. And it's a matter of leaving fear behind, stop resisting, open up to it. You know, ultimately, I think it's fear is what a big problem is.
I'm sure you said, Dolly, you've got to concentrate on it. You've got to want to remember. You've got to ask to remember. Just ask them to remember.
No, I don't ask anybody. I remember. That's where
no.
Disconnecting. No, let me make a point. They don't tell you anything. You have to tell yourself.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Your consciousness is completely aware of everything that goes on. It's your physical mind that's not listening. That's where the connection, the pineal gland, comes in so important. If it's gummed up or not working, or you've abused it and it's
tingly and cold,
right?
You have to go from a state of saying "I want to remember" to "I remember now."
Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'll give you a clue. If anything happens to you, what you need to do is go sit somewhere quiet. Make sure it's dark. Close your eyes, get comfortable, and replay it slow. Everything that you remember, you start at the beginning and you replay, tick it off. And while you're doing that, you are aware of the fact that you're filling in gaps that are you're not getting yet. And you don't even look at it negatively in that. You look at it as, I'm going to shine a light now on the rest of this, and you let it come to you. But you have to shut your mind down, your physical mind to shut up, so you can hear your consciousness telling you what you need to remember. Okay? It's self-hypnosis is literally what it is. And it's better if we learn to do it for ourselves. Yeah. And we need to stop expecting ET to give us the information. They're not going to. It's up to us. They had to do it. We have to do it. Okay? That's important. That's important to remember.
Sometimes all it takes is a little trigger. Someone might see the book Communion with that face.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was a trigger for a lot of people. And they remember.
Yeah, that's right.
It can be anything.
And also Intruders, wasn't it? Intruders with she's frying eggs in the eyes.
Right.
I think that was a sort of like a bit of got goosebumps as I say that. Oh gosh. Okay, so
you know what? When we're going through life and something horrific happens to us, or something we do not understand, the very first thing humans do is they take a mental step back. They try to avoid it. They become delusional, or they absolutely will start erasing the memory right on the spot. They will shut it down. No, I don't want this. No, I don't want this. And that shuts your brain down. It shuts it off. It will not copy it. It will not go into your hippocampus. It will not go into your long-term memory. It shuts it down. And most people don't realize that they're doing that to themselves. I've seen it on board. I've actually seen people first time coming up, and they actually freak out so bad that they become almost catatonic. Okay? They've shut down.
This isn't happening. This isn't happening. This isn't happening.
Right. Yeah. And then they don't remember it. That's what they do. They do it to themselves. Then I've seen some people that ET speaks to on board with, trying to stop them from doing it and saying, you're going to remember this later. You are, and this is why. And they ask you, they'll say, I do it too. I'll look somebody in the face and I'll say, what's good about this? What's the one thing about this that you want to remember? Single that out in your mind. Hold it. That's your key to the rest of the memory. And they take that suggestion and they hold it in their heads, and then they go dark with it for a long time, and then one day, poof, it pops, and they go, oh my God, I remember. It's self-hypnosis. Literally, your brain's a computer. You program it. Nobody else, you, unless you let them. There's an old saying in computer, technology, garbage in, garbage out. If you put garbage in your head, that's all that's going to come out of it. So think about the fact that you need to train yourself to be a good observer. You need to train yourself to accept reality and what you're looking at for real. Do not be afraid. You need to pre-batch the program so that as things do happen to you in reality, you're set for it. You're ready. You're programmed yourself. Otherwise, and one way of doing that is stop watching horror movies. Stop reading bad books. Stop thinking bad thoughts. These are habits that you've made because you've been taught to have them. Let them go. Stop yourself. Clear your mind. Clean yourself up of all this negativity. That's what that means.
Energetically clean yourself up. Yeah, basically.
When someone has a near-death experience, they have what's called a life review.
Yeah.
That's because those filters have been lifted off, and they can remember everything down to tiny little details.
And
they can feel other people's feelings.
Right.
This is how connected we are. Now, when someone has an experience with ETs, just reference one guy I interviewed, Don Anderson. He was a devout Mormon, and throughout his life has had some, entities come into his room, scared him, missing time.
Does he come from Utah?
A herd of skunks chased him down the mountain. Of course, they weren't skunks, but that's what he remembered. So at age 23, ETs come into his room, and they have his infant son, his toddler son, and he remembered. He's like, I know you. You're the one who's been visiting my whole life. And he said it was like a near-death experience. And Dolly described the same darn thing at age 14. The veils were lifted. Right. Everything came pouring back at once. It's very much like a life review. And this is how, when someone reaches, Whitley Strieber went through it, but it was at midlife. A lot of contactees, it takes them a little bit longer. And it might come back in little details or dreams. Betty Hill did it by basically dreaming about it after it happened.
Well, actually,
through the amnesia.
So you said, Dolly, when you're in a craft, are you assisting people that have been taken on board the craft?
Contacted, yes. Okay. I want everybody to start looking at this in a better way. If you're going to keep calling it abductions and taken,
I didn't say it.
Please set in fear. Okay. Okay. When they contact you, it's a positive experience. Prepare yourself for that. They will teach you anything you want to know. You ask questions, they will answer you. They will give you the keys to the kingdom. I'm not kidding you. They will show you anything you want to see or know. They'll take you anywhere on the craft. And yes, I do. When I'm done, how do I explain this? In between flights, I have nothing to do except maintain. And Talata can do that without me. So I wander around and look for things to do. I'm a nurse, and it's my nature to want to help people. And I learned that when they're together waiting for whatever it is they're going to have tested on them, because they do test you to make sure you're healthy and what you need.
I heal you.
It's a good way to just sit there and counsel them through it, help bring them out of fear, bring them into understanding. And I'll take people around the craft as well. And then when I have to be back up flying, I go back up and fly. It's just my nature to do so. We're all supposed to help one another, and I'm a human being too. And it just seems the right thing for me to want to help each other, And it means something to them. It really does. A lot of people, every now and then I'll have somebody say, you look so familiar to me. And I'll say, where do you live? And they'll tell me. I'll say, there's a chance. So
when you said about dreams, my dream state, and I've written them down years and years ago, and I still have them, is being on board a craft, and I'm assisting when people are coming in, when they're on the table. So I'm there to calm them down. That's what I did in my dream many a times.
Right. Yeah, we're all there to help one another. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, why you are. If you want to help, and they accept it. It's part of who they are. Yep.
See, you've got people now that, like we said, that are coming into the UFO phenomenon, Preston, that people are now genuinely more interested because it's out on the media. You've got more documentaries, you've got all of the TV shows, Netflix, Prime, blah, blah, blah. But you can go in at various angles. If we're going to go in at Dolly's experiences and this other gentleman, I've forgotten again, Sky Pilot, all the other experiences, it's remarkable to learn. And you're going to have people go, oh, that's just bullshit, I don't believe that. But why wouldn't they believe Dolly, and yet they'd believe an experience that I'd had on the freeway?
We have to wrap the show. We have to wrap the show, honey. I'm sorry.
Oh, is it that fast? Oh my goodness.
No, we're that bad. We've gone. Well, listen, guys. Well, no, because we came on slightly late because Dolly had a technical issue, didn't we?
Yeah.
So thank you for giving us a part of your life, for understanding a little bit of your life, of what you've had to go through, to be honest, to meet such a marvelous man that has written this book on you, Symmetry, and I got my tabs all in it. As I do, I always have my tabs in it.
And there's going to be a sequel, by the way.
Of course. Oh, and also audio as well. You're going to still do the audio?
Yes.
Yeah, because that would be absolutely amazing, because everyone could then just put it in their ears as they're cooking and doing
stuff. For
stuff.
reminding me, we need to get that done.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you know who to speak to, because he's the man with the voice. He's our friend. Right, guys. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're so much better. And let's have a catch up next week. And Preston, thank you again for your time. And again, go to Preston and Dolly's Lightgate. I've put the link in the title and to this podcast. Please go to it. And it isn't just about them interviewing all the various people on Lightgate. It's Preston's books, and I just love listening to it. So I might have you on many times, as you know, that throughout the years. But thank you ever so much, everybody. And thank you guys for coming into the private chat. Sorry we haven't been able to get to absolutely everybody. We've got about 45 minutes. We tried to cram it in. So anything you want to say before you go?
Just remember, love is the answer. And don't forget, Preston's got a new book out.
Love is the answer.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Okay.
All right, Preston, take it easy. Do your funny little... Oh, there you go. Done it. Yeah. All right. See you later, guys. And thank you ever so much for listening to Naked Truth on UNX Radio. And see you next week with another great guest. See you later, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye from England.